Nothing dead stays dead.
Only shooting stars break the mold.
This video and my channel are sponsored by Untapped.gg. Looking to up your magic metagame skills? You should check out Untapped.gg. It is in the link in the description of the video. What is Untapped? It's a program you run while you're playing Arena, and you can either use it as an overlay to help you get more information about your decks, the card that's left in it, or as the website so you can see how your deck's been performing, where it does well, where it doesn't do so well, and see what the other decks other people are playing are like. So you can say, oh wow, everybody's playing mono red. Maybe I should break out the lifelink. Because, hey, did you know lifelinks good against the mono red? Just a little secret between me and you. Again, that's untapped.gg. Hello everybody, and welcome to Brawl Stars. I'm Amy the Amazonian, and today I'm playing Liesa. No, Liesa. No, Liesa. Technically, the pronunciation of this commander's name is Liesa. That is from Wizards of the Coast, making that as a statement. However, if they wanted it to be Liesa, they should have not put an E in there. Now, to anybody out there who speaks German and says, well, that's just how we spell it, and you pronounce it a bit more like Liesa, the Z noise, well, that's too bad, because her name is Liesa. Liesa, Forgotten Archangel, is a angel. Wow, big surprise there. She's a 4/5 with lifelink, so she's a great, well-statted flyer, and she has a super strong double-sided ability. She kind of reminds me of the Praetors, actually, because when your opponent's creatures die, they don't die, they get exiled. And if our creatures die, they return back to our hand in our next end step. This is a really cool way to get tons of value out of Enter the Battlefield and on-death triggers, similar to cards like Thassa Karlov. I'm not running Thassa in this version of the deck because I'm a bit more focused on Enter the Battlefield value, on cards that are, you know, really strong, or just simple with card draw. So we have card draw on our Enter the Battlefield, we have life loss on cards leaving the battlefield, we have discard on Enter the Battlefield, we have life loss and gain on leaving the battlefield. You can kind of see here, there's this balance of things coming in and things leaving. We also have a bit of a sacrifice sub-theme, because it's good to sacrifice cards because then they die and you can bring them back. Board wipes also work decently well with Liesa because you can protect her using cards like Selfless Savior and help her survive. We have a lot of just very strong cards that also let you either replay cards from the graveyard like Sarah Paragon or Lurrus. Where's Lurrus? There's my little kitty cat. And some cards that, if our creatures would die, they come back in some fashion. So Luminous Broodmoth, for example, will bring back my non-flyers, and Nightmare Shepherd lets me exile cards and make a copy of them, exiling them from my graveyard. So this is just a really nice way to get a lot of value out of my creatures. Living, dying, living, dying, living, and dying. And of course, to support that, we have ways to kill our own creatures. We have things that benefit from lots of our creatures dying. We have also, because we're in Orzhov colors, good removal for our opponent's stuff. And we're going to take this deck into the queue, and I'm going to show you a little bit of reanimation. It's bears versus angels. Well, not quite. It's Goreclaw, Terror of Kalsisma, which is a commander that discounts creatures of power 4 or greater. And, you know, Liesa, who lets me bring things back from the dead and exile our opponent's things. This hand has a good amount of removal and protection in it, so I am going to keep it. And I am going to actually say, this deck used to be my angel deck. If you're wondering, Amy, I feel like I saw you play this as a commander before. What gives? Yes, I did play it as a commander before, and I adjusted the deck as we got more and more mono-white angels to be a, you know, its own deck. It's its own piece now. But I will still find peace in killing their Elvish Mystic. This is the same thing as a Llanowar Elf. I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to think about it. I want it gone and dead. Because the more ramp they have, and notice that I'm paying a lot of life for this stuff, the faster they get out Goreclaw, the more big scary creatures they get, and the chances I have to take them down go way, way lower. Alright, this thing actually has hexproof from black, so I can't hit it with black removal, even if I do find it. I'm going to go ahead and play a Luminous Broodmoth instead. I can block this and make this indestructible. if they attack in. Nope, they're gonna wait. That's a smart move. I think I'll make them sacrifice, though. In fact, I'm going to make them sacrifice everything. This is a really cool interaction. Luminous Broodmoth. Sees my Demon's Disciple die, and when Demon's Disciple enters the battlefield, we both have to sacrifice a creature. But because it doesn't have flying, it will actually come back into play under my control and make them sacrifice again. And they realize, wow, you killed my mana dorks, you killed my commander, you killed everything I put on the board, and you still have Mothra out. What a deck. Evil Bob is playing Chandra, Awakened Inferno, a big, scary planeswalker who wipes the board and makes your opponent's life total tick lower and lower and lower. This is a really great card, and oftentimes it is the big red commander of choice or the Chandra tribal commander of choice, by which I mean a deck that plays tons of Chandras, because she's a good planeswalker and there's been like 16 of her, not all of which are in Arena, but a lot of which are in Arena. Well, I'm going to start out with my little tiny lifelinker swinging in for one, and it's been lightning bolted. Okay, well, how about the Bounty Agent? I love Bounty Agent in this deck because you can use it to destroy one of your opponent's legendary creatures, artifacts, or enchantments, and then play it again using our little return to hand ability. And hey, the question has been answered. Is this a Chandra tribal deck? And the answer is yes, that's a Chandra's Regulator, which we are going to exile. We could have also destroyed it with the Bounty Agent, but I would rather exile it just to kind of play on curve here. And they strangled this, but that's not going to get this back. It's just going to give them a wee little 2/2. Ghost Rider coming out to play, and we're passing the turn because I don't really want to trade this to that. Nice. Bastion of Remembrance. Because they missed the land drop, I am now a lot more willing to trade with it and just start getting damage in. So Bounty Agent is going to trade with this 2/2. And they're going to lose a life from the Bastion of Remembrance. Bastion of Remembrance also gave us a human soldier token. Would you look at that? They found their third land. So did we. Now let the 3 drops commence. The Celestis. Ah! The Celestis could have been destroyed by Bounty Agent. Hopefully we can bring her back. We do have a lot of ways to bring cards back from our graveyard, seeing as that's one of the themes of our deck. They're gonna swing in here for 4. And we're holding up Swift End. It's a murder. I guess it's more of like a heroic end. It destroys creatures or planeswalkers. It's good. Okay, they get to draw and drop there. And they dropped Captain Lannery. Guess they didn't want to swing in with that. Chromatic Lantern. Lots of ramp. Any creatures, though? I would love to have something to kill. Okay, they have not given me anything to kill, so I'm going to sacrifice my goat and use it to scry. I want to get to a land so I can play my commander. Kaya, you're awesome too, but you're not a land. There we go. Takanuma is a land, a legendary land, but I only have one of them, so the legendary part doesn't matter so much. Aww. They've brought great woe to my woe strider by blasting it with Murder Prophecy. This lets them put a card from their hand on the bottom of their library and draw a fresh one. And now Liesa is just like, what? I thought there were creatures here. Well, there were. Alright. Will they -5 kill my commander and let us kill their commander with this token? Looks like the answer is yes. In we go for 1 entire damage. Die, Chandra!
You're gonna be sorry when I come back.
And I feel like this board wipe's just burning a hole in my pocket. So I think I'm going to discard it. I haven't exactly had a lot of creatures out here. And it's going to seek a permanent that costs 3 or less. A non-land, I believe, yeah. Non-land permanent. Nice treasures. Goldspan Dragon, the 4/4 with haste that comes out, gets a treasure and lets that treasure tap for 2 mana. Land destruction? In this economy? Oh, rude. Okay. The Celestis triggers again. It's daytime. And they dropped the Brotherhood's End. They said, I don't need this bitty baby board wipe. Are you so sure that you do not need that bitty baby board wipe? The answer is probably yes. They're going to get 2 mana off of this. Let's see if they want to use it right away. They can't. Okay, now it's only worth 1 mana. And here's the Esper Sentinel. If they keep trying to cast non-creatures, well, hopefully they can pay my tax or I get to draw cards. And I would like to have, ideally, 1 more mana so I can bring something back with Null Priest of Oblivion. Oh no, it's an artifact! It's been destroyed by the Plundering Barbarian! But, since I destroyed my creature, they're down to 6 life. Lae'zel! Threatening lethal here. And it looks like we're gonna have the lethal swing off of a simple Bloodchief's Thirst. They say good game, we say right back. And we press that spacebar a couple times and swing in for 7. Which is 1 more than 6. I did the math. Our opponent is playing Yarok the Desecrated, who doubles enter the battlefield effects. Yarok is great with things like landfall, things that draw cards on entering the battlefield, and just cool permanents that have enter the battlefield effects, whatever they may be. Yarok's also really nice for having the stat line of being a 3/5 with Death Touch and Lifelink, and it being an elemental means that it's twice as fun with cards like Risen Reef. That's one of my personal favorites. I love Risen Reef. We're going to go ahead and ramp here because I want to get myself situated with some nice, good cards early on. I might end up playing Cathar Commando and sacrificing it to Deadly Dispute in order to find lands if I don't find them soon. Because they're ramping too, and we need to keep pace with them, or they're going to outvalue us. Because Sultai, these 3 colors here, black, green, blue, are really good at getting value. And when you're doubling that value, they're even better at making value. Speaking of value, here's a Planeswalker. This Planeswalker is going to exile their Llanowar Elf. Yeah, I know you've heard of Bolt the Bird. How about Slash the Elf? How about Slash the Elf? Aether Channeler. Hey, you should bounce this back into my hand so I get more loyalty on it. It's fine if you don't want to, Aether Channeler. I figured I would just ask. Oh, they went for a bird! Tweet, tweet! I like the bird. Well, I'm feeling like I should probably get something on the battlefield and start pumping it up to defend a Wandering Emperor. I'm going to play Lae'zel. And I am going to plus or minus. Plus or minus. Something notable, if I put a counter on this, it is a 3/5 with double strike. So it deals up to 6 damage. But if they try to hit this with removal, it will blink and that +1/+1 counter will disappear. Yeah, we exiled the elf. That's what we did. We exiled the elf. Wandering Emperor can keep pace with the damage dealt by this itty-bitty birdie. And Lae'zel is huge and is just standing here in front of the Aether Channeler. Ooh, but you would trade with a Cavalier of Thorns. Very cool. Let's see what they put in the graveyard. No lands? Looks like no lands. Okay. Thassa, Uvenwald Hydra, Guardian Idol, and Scootleboo. I like Scootlebees. Do I feel like specializing? I do. We're going to actually make use of part of this specialized ability. Because we're going to specialize into black. And we're going to drop a card. And then bring it right back. That's how Lae'zel works. It's a really cool series of abilities. This is now a 4/7 with double strike. I'm going to put the counter on Elas il-Kor this time. And I think I'm just going to hold back. I'll attack in with Lae'zel. It would just kill this. So they might want to just bring back one of those cards from their graveyard on top of their deck. I wouldn't blame them for wanting that. Which do you choose? They're going for Thassa. I don't have anything immediately that gets rid of Thassa, but I know I can find some like this. Rite of Oblivion will allow me to exile this Thassa and do it with style. Cool. Wandering Emperor gets bonked once more. Great bonkin! Now, what do you want to do? Do you want to bounce? Bouncing Glazel does get me a blink, but also clears that +1/+1 counter off it. No, they're just making more birds. Okay, well, here comes the Cathar Commando. This is indestructible, so trying to destroy it won't actually help me. And we're going to be righteous. We're gonna use Rite of Oblivion. Sacrificing our Cathar Commando. il-Kor is like, yeah, that was cool. I'm getting rid of that. Now the Wandering Emperor will die to these two little teeny tiny birdies. So I'm just going to swing in with Lae'zel and il-Kor. Oh! Hold up. They chose to sacrifice a bird. So I'm going to play Blood Artist and put a +1/+1 counter on it. I didn't think they were going to block with a bird. The Wandering Emperor lives! They live forever! But I'm not going to live forever. Emergent Ultimatum is a card that gets played in two different ways. People who build around it and people who don't. You get 3 monocolored cards out of your deck, little spells, and you cast them for free, in whichever order. You cast 2 of the 3 of them, and your opponent chooses which one goes back into your library. If you build your deck around the spell, you can essentially play a game-winning combo that, even if it doesn't guarantee you winning this game, gives you like a high enough chance that your opponent won't be able to come back. Now, the other people who play it are just people who are trying to get value out of their deck, and they get 3 really strong cards. Let's see what our opponent is doing. They just got 3 really strong cards. Noxious Gearhulk, Titan of Industry, and the Great Henge. Now, let's see. They've done this pre-combat. I'm looking at what I still have available. I'm going to put back the Great Henge. We're going to say goodbye to the Wandering Emperor. Well, maybe goodbye. It depends on what they target here. And hello to the Titan of Industry and the Noxious Gearhulk. Titan of Industry is going to destroy my Arcane Signet, make a 4/4 Rhino, back down to 3 mana. Note that they have 7. And they're going to use Big Stinky, Noxious Gearhulk, to kill Blood Artist. Killing Blood Artist is good for them because it means that they can attack with the Aether Channeler and kill the Wandering Emperor. It also gets rid of, like, one of my Drain engines, which is huge. But I wanted to make sure they didn't get the Great Henge, because the Great Henge is scary. Do I have any 1-drops? I don't. I have some 2-drops, though. I'm gonna play Lurrus to set up for next turn. I can't play these, but I'll be able to play one next turn. And that's all I need. Titan's a scary card if they manage to blink it. And with the Noxious Gearhulk. That's why I'm going to try to kill it before that can happen. Oh no. I was really hoping that they kind of had like a dud hand, maybe with just a land in it. They definitely did not. In fact, they actually have super value here because the Aether Channeler is a human, which they can put back into their hand with Kogla. That will make Kogla indestructible, and they don't have a lot of ways to get around that. So I'm going to do what I can, which is use Rite of Oblivion, sacrificing il-Kor to get rid of it. Lae'zel, hold the line! This has Menace, so it's not going to be able to block. This is flying, can't block. We could trade with the Titan of Industry. But we're doing our best. And our best is all we can do. Hi, Yarok. Okay, they're going in with the 2 evasive creatures, the ones I cannot stop. Oh, hey, Nightmare Shepherd. I'm gonna play Liesa. She's here. And now if their stuff dies, it won't be as good. Uh-oh! Dream Eater! Please target Lae'zel. Please target Lae'zel. She'll come back smaller, but she'll enter the battlefield again, which is huge for me because I get... Bring back Lurrus. Nope, they put my commander back in my hand. I mean, it's the right thing to do. Sometimes you just have to hope that your opponent lets you trigger Lae'zel's special ability here. Wait! They did choose to target because Yarok double triggers. We're gonna blink. Blink, baby. Lae'zel returns, and we're going to bring back Lurrus because Lurrus can bring back the other permanents in our graveyard on future turns. Whew! Well, Lae'zel is now only a 3/6, which means she can't trade with a Titan. Yikes. If I double block, do you think that they would kill the Noxious Gearhulk? Lurrus? Yes, because that would be the only thing they really can do. If I double block on that, they can only choose one to kill. I'm going for it. They choose Lurrus. Okay, so Lae'zel is going to remain on the battlefield, and the Titan of Industry is going to be dead. Still gonna say hashtag worth. And here comes my commander again. Having our Liesa out is nice because now we have a blocker for the flyers. You can double block things like the Noxious Gearhulk, though I probably wouldn't, since the damage it's dealing is not as valuable to me as just having this out. Nice! And they're gonna ramp. Elvish Rejuvenator looks at the top 5 cards. If there's a land among them, you can put it into play for free. They hit on both. They got a Broker's Hideout. Broker's Hideout, by the way, even though it has double triggers here, only gets you 1 land because it says when you do on it. So when you sacrifice this land, it gets the other one. And here comes Big Stinky, and here comes me not blocking. Fierce Empath as well. Nice. Oh, that's a Craterhoof Behemoth. Craterhoof Behemoth and Burning Rune Demon. I see. Well then. Have a Nightmare Shepherd. This is fine. I'm pretty sure I'm dead. To double hoof enter the battlefield. Okay, with the hoof on the stack, I'm going to Deadly Dispute. Lae'zel. Lae'zel dies. I'm going to choose to exile Lae'zel so it won't go back into my hand. You're going to be able to bring back... none of these really do anything. Blood Artist, sure. Blood Artist is back. And we draw... Swords to Plowshares. It's worth it. Let's try. Hitting the hoof doesn't do that much, but now it's only going to trigger once. This is what we call a desperation play. But I'm pretty sure I'm still dead, because that's like 40 damage. This is fine! This is fine! It's fine! Right? Sorry, it's like 60 damage. Sorry, 70 damage. 80? Big number. GG, Yarok the Desecrated. She is the cheese. Queza, Augur of Agonies. She makes card draw into pain. This is an okay hand. I would really like to have a 3rd land, though. So I'm gonna mulligan. That's a little better. We're gonna keep. So, Queza, Augur of Agonies, whenever they draw a card, I will lose a life, they will gain a life. What's cool about this commander is not just its color combination being extremely powerful, because yikes, Esper is strong, but the fact that it has 2-shot combos. All you need is your commander and Peer into the Abyss to draw half your deck and make your opponent lose about 40 life. Or, and this was another fun one, Lich's Mastery, which just draws your deck. Sure. Why not? Why not? This is, by the way, if you're wondering why does this card look a little different and have that A on it, it's because they did change this card for alchemy very minorly. I think they gave it vigilance. Completely unnecessary. The card is good and limited, and the card is still good with or without that extra ability. Perfect. Well, Elas il-Kor. Let's take a look at their hand. That Teferi's tutelage, by the way, can give them a mill win con with all their card draw. Emergency powers. Oh, that's a funny one. Knight of Souls Betrayal. I accept this. And Tomedy Infinite. So my deck is really going to struggle against Knight of Souls Betrayal. But this is an important little booty. I hate Tomedy Infinite. And I don't want them casting it next turn. And if they mill me, cool. I have reanimation in my deck. Here comes Knight of Souls Betrayal. That's going to turn this into a dead little 0-2. And now Elas il-Kor is like, oh no, my buddies! A lot of my buddies will die if they try to enter the battlefield. And that's fine. That just means we're going to have to play our big girls, like Liesa, who is but a 1-3 at this moment in time, but she's a 1-3 with double strike. And I am hopeful that we can specialize her next turn and, I don't know, set up to bring something back. Ew, Oracle the Alpha. At least it's only a 1-2 thanks to the power of Knight of Souls Betrayal. We're going to go ahead and crack open the Fabled Passage here. Use it to grab a white source since we have a good amount of black mana here. And I'm going to specialize. And I'm feeling, let's see, is it creatures on this? Yes, up to 2 target creature spells. They would come in and they would immediately die, but we could kill this. But we'd have to sacrifice you too. Commander it is! And I'll attack in with Liesa. I'll probably just end up dropping Esper Sentinel because it would immediately die. Even though, like, you know, it would die, but it would come back. It's actually okay with Elas il-Kor draining our opponent whenever our creatures die. I'm sure I can do better. Hourglass Coven. I would love to bring that back. Here comes their commander, the Cheese! Then our deck has been diluted with some cards that draw cards, like Ancestral Recall, and also a lot of Moxen. I wonder what they're going to end up finding. Well, we're going to hit them with Liesa, and we're going to discard a white card. We're going to drop Esper Sentinel here. Become a 2-5 with double strike. Oh, hey, look, a thing that dies, but it gives me value if it dies. Okay, I'm going to swing in with Liesa and Liesa. They're taking it, and we're gaining a bunch of life. And now we're going to draw a card. And this is going to die, but it's okay. It's going to come back. And a bounty agent, who is but a little 1-1. Inspiring Overseer is like, wait, what happened? You died, baby. You had 0 toughness and you died to state-based actions. You can't exist if you have 0 toughness. Them's the rules. And I wonder if they'll get the mana here for emergency power. I don't know if they will, but it is possible. I was about to say with the Moxen. But they would need 1 more land. I don't think they have it. If they're careful about tapping, and they weren't, Tome of the Infinite could have come down and been activated, I think. Oh no, they actually only have 1 blue source among all of their cards. Never mind. That is one of those things we can't blame Ottoman Tapper for. Well, let's go ahead and make use of this bounty agent and kill Queza. By the way, this is legendary too, so it can be destroyed. But I know what I'm doing. I'm causing problems. And I'm also... Ooh, let's go for it! Sanctuary Warden! And I am going to make a 1-1, which will immediately die. because it will drain our opponent. Doesn't really matter because we're about to win just by bleeding and healing. We're gonna attack them and it's combat damage, lethal. Yay, combat! It's Radic, Tal Zealot. I love this card. It's super strong. And if you want to see me play it, I have a deck and a video of Radic, which you should totally check out. All right, what does he do? When a knight attacks, including himself, he gets you another knight. And the knights that he drafts from his spellbook are all really strong, and about half of them are also removal spells, making him incredibly good. He also has a piece of text, which is going to be very relevant in this matchup, which, well, this guy has too. It's hexproof from white and hexproof from black. Do you know what two colors have the most removal? It's those two. And you can't target him with those two pieces. And I love how he has, like, the two component knights here. Very well illustrated. Thank you very much for that. Knight of Grace and Knight of Malice were the two knights that also have hexproof from a color that were released in... I want to say it was Dominaria. Yes, Dominaria was that cycle. There's some other older knights that have protection or hexproof too. They're very cool. All right, here comes Radic, and they have an attacking knight, the Knight of Grace. By the way, we Demon's Disciple just to, like, take a little bit less damage. The way I see it is our only means of survival here is going to be a board wipe, because I just don't have ways to get rid of their commander, because targeted removal doesn't work. We'd have to be able to block, and for us to get a big enough creature is going to take a little bit of time. All right, so Solemn Simulacrum came down, got me a land, and is going to be able to block. They're still going to be able to get another knight. Ah, nice. Protection. And so actually give this indestructible, allowing it to survive my board wipe. Doesn't matter, I'm still going to go in here and try my best. This Dauntless Bodyguard, you can actually tell, was created from the spellbook because of the A23 that's noted on it. Do I want to draw a card? Yes, I would. I'm going to play Noxious Gearhulk. More like Obnoxious Gearhulk, am I right? Am I right? Nobody thinks I'm funny, that's okay. It's going to come down, and I'm going to use it to destroy Dauntless Bodyguard, the only valid target. They can sacrifice it in response, that way I do not gain 1 life. But that will remove that indestructible thingy, so I can maybe Blood on the Snow next turn. Okay, I was hoping I would be able to block. I'm not allowed to block because they got a Murderous Rider off one of those Radic attacks. What a ridiculous amount of value. Seriously, this card is so strong. Knights felt very weak before Radic's printing. It felt like one of those, well, it's a fun tribal, and look, you can play Sir Gwyn, and you can use equipment, but they're not exactly good. Ooh, and Sheoldred and another bodyguard, this time protecting Sheoldred. This was, again, created by the thingy. Alright, we're gonna need a land. Or sacrifice. I'll take it. We're going to wipe the board. And we're going to say each player sacrifices 13 creatures. Nobody has 13 creatures, but it's funnier to name 13 than, you know, name the actual number of creatures on the board. Poof, okay, so we're up to 7 life versus 13. Or sorry, 23 life. We're not doing too hot. Oh, Arvad. Now, is it time for a board wipe? It sure is. We're going to destroy all creatures. And we're going to bring back Solemn Simulacrum for just a wee bit of ramp. Very few knights, by the way, have haste, but some of them do have flash. So it can be hard for them to get an attack out if we've just wiped the board against them. All right, so 2 board wipes down. They have protective spells. They are getting a lot of good protection here. They have the Selfless Savior and Radic here, able to just swing in. Now, as I mentioned before, hexproof from black and white means I cannot kill you with my Kaya. How frustrating. All right, we're going to go ahead and get out our commander, Liesa. That'll at least give me some good blocks. Then Acquisitions Expert. Make them discard whatever's in their hand. They Smitten Swordmaster. Wow, that would have been some good drain. And we're gonna hit the Selfless Savior with Swords to Plowshares. This way, if they want to attack in, they have to understand that we're going to be able to block and kill their commander. And they are out of fuel! Stabilizing against that kind of deck can be really hard, but we managed to pull it off. Let's go, Liesa! It's Mono Blue Blank with Thassa Deep Dwelling. Thassa is a scary commander because she's able to supplement the value of the Blank with counterspells. Counterspells good in 1v1, surprising nobody. Okay, so they've started with the Jwari Disruption being played as a land. I would rather see that as a land than as a counterspell because I cannot pay the one. I want to play on curve. 2 mana down, 2 things to go. We're going to swing in with the Priest of Fell Rites and then play a creature, the Elite Spellbinder. And it was countered. Yep. It was countered. Not surprised. Let's see if they get even more counterspells. No, Farfinder. Okay, so because they played Farfinder here, I actually feel comfortable doing something kind of silly this next turn. I'm going to play this Plains, get out Mothra, this is Luminous Broodmoth, and then sacrificing my Priest of Fell Rites to bring back the Elite Spellbinder. Because we have our Luminous Broodmoth out, this comes back, it has a flying counter on it, and we get to take a look at their hand. Oh my goodness. They have a Blinkable, or 2, Ramp, and then this Unholy Monstrosity. One of my favorite cards, though. Mass Manipulation, I'm going to tax that. And they're going to say, no, I can't. And now, whether they conceded because I have, 8 flying damage every turn, or the fact that I can continuously reanimate things, and once I get my commander out, I can actually do this every turn a little bit more. Who knows? But we did win the game. Once again, it's Goreclaw, the big mama bear, who's got mana to spare. The name of the game for us is going to be trying to stay ahead by removing their ramp and their creatures before they can get some card draw ready. Now, I don't really want to mulligan, though, because I do have a good amount of mana here. So we're actually going to shift our strategy a little bit more to be like, hey, Death Touch. You know what Death Touch does? Kills your big green things. Awesome. We're going to try to do that. We're going to try to Death Touch their creatures to death. We're going to touch them to death. Yeah, we got sticky, nasty fingers. All right, and we also have a dog. And we also have Elenda. Elenda's sweet because she just means, hey, our creature's dying. That's cool. I'm going to get big and full of vampire babies. And then she'll explode. And there will be vampires everywhere. Nice. Spirited Companion is out here. It's a dog. It's a dog. It's a dog. And it drew me a card. Nice. Into the north. This is ramp. Them getting ramp on turn 1 or turn 2 is good because it means they can play their commander a turn early. I still do not have anything too big to do against them, so I think what I'll do is I'll make them discard a card. Green is not that good at getting more resources. They have to kind of set up cards in order to do it. Things like Guardian Project, or Beast Whisperer, or Great Henge. It's not as easy as it would be for blue, which is just like, I'm going to draw cards. I guess there's Harmonize in green. Harmonize is a weird card. It's just card draw in green. How strange. Alright, Elderfang Disciple and Spirited Companion on the battlefield, being a good little pair of 1/1s. Okay, they dropped a Gem Razor. I did have something that could be destroyed by Gem Razor, but I imagine they just have bigger, better, scarier creatures. And here comes Goreclaw! Okay, do we draw removal? We don't. But we still draw a really good card. Luminous Broodmoth. Luminous Broodmoth is going to say, hey, do you want to attack me? If you do, these guys are gonna die, and they're gonna come right back with flying counters. Ooh, Castle Garenbrig. They have 6 mana, and they're creatures that cost lots of mana. Normally are going to cost a lot less because Goreclaw is discounting them. So, wait, nope, that one doesn't get a discount. It's the Circle of Dream Druids and Ravenous! Nice! Ravenous is going to give them a huge swing on Goreclaw because she does give herself Trample and +1/+1. Yeah, I'm not sacrificing this here. I am going to double block with these two, prevent 2 of the 9 damage to make you discard again and draw another card for me! Yay! They discard, I draw. And now they have things with Death Touch, but we have things with Death Touch too. Do I want to go for the Death Toucher or just some straight up removal? They'll be able to replay their commander because they do have this mana, but they won't be able to replay Ravenous. So I am going to exile Ravenous, and he's going to go back into the library. Him going back into the library, by the way, is going to mean he can come back in a few turns. But I can survive that. I feel confident and comfortable that I can survive that. And I'm actually going to swing in with these guys because I don't plan on blocking. There are a bunch of cards that could definitely punish this, but I feel comfortable. All they've got is mana. I'm not afraid of mana. And I did leave back one of these two, in case they did want to attack with Circle of Dream Druids, because I just don't think they'd make the trade. We take 5. Death-touching, trampling damage. Sereth does get a little bit of bonus there. And we're going to tax their non-creature spells. Now that Death Touch Trample is a bit of a problem, and we might have to meet it with a lifelink in the middle, or we could make them discard. I want to cause problems. So I'm going to play the City Stalker Connoisseur. They have a land in their hand. You see how they didn't discard there? That means they have a land in their hand. I want to have a land in my hand, so I'm going to discard my Woe Strider and get a land in my hand. Yay! And this time I actually am going to leave these things back. Sereth does not give herself Death Touch. So I just want to make sure I've got some nice, happy blockers here. Guardian Project. Alright, so there's a card draw source for them. A very good one. You want to attack? You can't replay your commander this turn, but you will get damage in. Okay, I'm going to block with City Stalker Connoisseur. We already know they don't have things in their hand. So this will die, I'll take a bunch of damage, and then this will come back onto the battlefield because of Luminous Broodmoth! They live, they die, they live again. Something, something, shiny and chrome? Yeah, I'll see myself out. If I want to, I think I could drop this il-Kor to try to find more goodies. And I may actually end up bringing that back with the Elspeth Conqueror's Staff. Yep, I'm going to bring back Elas il-Kor. Gets a +1/+1 counter. And then I'm feeling Elenda, the Dusk Rose. Creature entered the battlefield, so I gain a life. And we're going to attack in 1, 2, 3, 4. All of you guys, get in there! I just noticed, with Sereth, you can potentially generate some extra mana off something like Circle of Dream Druids. That is a cool piece of synergy. They get this God Eternal Ravenous. They will draw a card if they cast it. It looks like they're going to start with Goreclaw. Goreclaw will draw them a card. And Goreclaw can also let them recast God Eternal Ravenous, because they have mana. This thing taps for 3 right now, and this only costs 3 mana. Ah, Nissa, who shakes the world. Hi, Nissa. You gonna untap a forest? And then, I don't know, use the mana from the forest to use Sereth to untap the Circle of Dream Druids to replay Ravenous? Sequencing! Yep, there they go. Hi, Ravenous. Ravenous doesn't scare me, because there's no attackers here. And by the way, if you're wondering, why didn't you use the Swords to Plowshares? The reason is simple. I don't want them to gain life because I want to kill them. With the power of all of these guys, we are just going to go ahead and press spacebar and attack them with everything. We already have 8 damage in the air, another 4 on the ground, and if our creatures die, then Elas il-Kor will bleed them out, which is a pretty good way of saying we have lethal. And if you didn't know, Sarah Paragon, who's in my hand, would let me bring back the Ghost Rider from the graveyard and sacrifice my remaining creatures in order to kill them for realsies. Yeah! Violence! Our next opponent is playing Rusco Clockmaker. About half the games I've played today have actually been against Rusco Clockmaker, and there's been a lot of, let's say, I don't feel like playing against this concessions, because I don't really like to play against Rusco. I don't think that his design is very well thought out, nor do I think that he's very fun to play with a mid-rangey creature deck. Now, put me in control against Rusco, that's a match. Put me in aggro against Rusco, that's a dead Rusco. We're going to go ahead and play up against him anyway, so if you don't know what he does, let me give you a little bit of information. Rusco makes a clock, the Midnight Clock. That's just a really good card. He's also a 3/3, and he accelerates the Midnight Clock so you draw cards faster, and every time you cast a non-creature spell, he drains you for a life, which stabilizes him and also kills you. Nice sensor. I was hoping to use that Cathar Commando to destroy the clock when it happened to come out, but I get it. I'm not allowed to have that. But at least I can draw cards. The Inspiring Overseer enters the battlefield, and it feels like they want to kill it. What kind of spell did you have? Maybe a bounce spell? Maybe a kill spell? Something fun? Something funky? Something tasty? Maybe? It's just Rusco. Hey, Rusco. I could ramp, or I could make them discard. I'm gonna make them discard. Let's see what the biggest costed spell in their hand is. Crux of Fate. That's a board wipe off the battlefield. And it's now 2 a.m. Bing bong. It's actually 2:36 p.m. where I am. A much more appropriate time to be awake. And Displacer Kitten. Whenever they cast a non-creature spell, like, oh, I don't know, Fatal Push, they can blink a permanent. Yep. So, that means Dead City Stalker Connoisseur and Rusco made another clock. This is not an on-cast ability. He can just do this. Ugh. All my homies hate Rusco. So I'm going to attack in with this Inspiring Overseer. And I'm going to do 1, a 2, a 3, a crunch. I'm going to use the Meat Hook Massacre to destroy Rusco and the kitty cat. This is really about destroying the cat, by the way. Displacer Kitten with Rusco, to me, is very scary as a combination. I'm aware they can replay Rusco, but at least that taps them mostly out for this turn. Let's see what we can draw. Alright. Here, we're gonna go ahead and play this land. Get out Liesa. And we're going to specialize into black. Specializing into black, dropping the Ghost Rider, is going to let me bring back 1 or 2 creatures with total mana value 3 or less. Now, I could bring back this, but I have a plan. I'm bringing back the Cathar Commando, and I'm killing the clock with the most counters on it. Get out of my face, Rusco. I never want to see you in this town again. Now he's like, my masterpiece, my finest work. Oh, thank goodness I made 2 other ones. This town has so many clocks in it, and at least one of them's not right, because it says it's 6 o'clock and 3 o'clock. This thing could be legendary. Why isn't it legendary? Why does Castle Vantress? Yeah, this looks like it's Castle Vantress from Eldraine. Why does Castle Vantress have so many midnight clocks? Guess we'll never find out. Time to play Takenuma as land and attack in for 6. 3 damage plus double strike is a fine combination here. And I have this sneaking suspicion that they've got a counterspell. They would. They would. They could have a kill spell, too. In fact, if you try to kill Liesa, I'm totally down. Because she'll flicker, and I'll get more stuff back from the graveyard. The Cathar Commando. And I'll use the Cathar Commando to destroy another clock. Opponent, do you want to pass to the second half of combat? Liesa will hit you once. She wants to hit you twice. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, did you realize I have a clock? A clock based on damage to your face? Because it's really not cool of you to rope. Because you're losing. Listen, I've had to put up with so many Ruscos. Yes, thank you. Thank you for passing priority. Let me kill your old man. Let me take your old man and string him up by his little clock hands. Oh, they're going to memory lapse. Well, that's okay. I'll kill him next time. Alright, so they're up to hour 10 on the midnight clock. Remember, this will shuffle their graveyard, all these powerful spells we've seen, back into their deck. Rusco's swinging in. He doesn't plan on blocking. And all they need to do is cast one spell, a non-creature spell, sorry, I should have been more specific. And then bing bong ding dong. Midnight it is. Alright, so it's going to be midnight on my upkeep. They will have 1 mana up. And because they have a Shouldered Out, and I do not have instant speed removal, I have this Noxious Gearhulk, they're going to gain 14 life. How do I feel about that? Dissatisfied. But I understand that Wizards of the Coast has not chosen to rebalance this card. And we have to keep dealing with it. Alright, Die Shouldered. I'm sure she'll come back soon. Boop and bop. I'd love to be able to play my commander. I just don't feel safe playing my commander. Search for Descanta, throwing a land into the graveyard. It is now 10 p.m. 10 a.m. Are we going out for brunch or are we going out for drinks? Either way, let's get some mimosas. You and me, Rusco. And Liesa too. You know what? Liesa, you're here too. Noxious Gearhulk, you're not allowed in the bar. You're too big and too stinky. Oh no! They're killing my robot! Thank you, Meat Hook Massacre. I appreciate you doing that for me. They're going to swing in for another 3. They have 4 mana up, and they're going to draw an entire new hand. So if they, I don't know, want to play anything now, it's a great time to do it. And it's midnight! Again! So now Rusco, by the way, like, he's good, he is draining me, but he's not as good because there's not as much clock action getting out here. I'm going to swing in for 6. Why do you stop after the first combat is done? Okay, Essence Flux. This will get them another clock. And now the clock is ticking. Seek new knowledge. Going to seek non-lands. They can choose to put one of the cards in their hand on the bottom of their library. A very, very strong filter spell, by the way. They can't block, no. And I'm going to play the Sad Robot. Solemn Simulacrum. It ramps. And it also awakens a sense of joy and friendship in all of us. I'm actually going to go for some white mana here. And I'm going to drop the plains in my hand, just in case I can get something a little bit spicier. Ah, a swamp. Yes, very spicy. We'll pretend it's a way to kill Rusco. Yes, my swamp. The swamp for killing Rusco with. Ah, look at that. A midnight clock. Remember how I destroyed a clock earlier? It's that clock. You can tell it's not the clock they naturally play in their deck because it says A23 on it. That means it was made by a Rusco, and they're gaining life, and they're draining life. Okay, they're gonna hit me for 3, bringing me down to 10. Ooh, an Esper Sentinel sounds pretty good here. I'm gonna start with Liesa, my commander, because I just expect this to be countered. Great, okay. Will I move this to the command zone? Sure! And now I'll play Esper Sentinel. Does this get countered too? Oh, look at that! It resolved. And I'm going to swing in for 8. Our clocks, speaking in the sense of damage, are actually pretty similar right here. Thanks to the power of the Meathook Massacre, combined with the fact that they gain life on casting spells. Why does he gain life? Gain life and drain life. Ridiculous, old man. You should be a 1/1. And your clock should enter tapped. Or they should go into your hand. I don't like you. I don't like this man. Wow, Karn's Temporal Sundering! Wait, they may be able to get lethal off of this. They put the Esper Sentinel back into my hand, and they're taking an extra turn. And they're playing Sheoldred. Sheoldred is going to be able to hit me for lethal next turn. I'm not going to say good game, because it wasn't. I am a firm believer that this deck contains many problematic cards. The one that is of the most concern right now is their commander. So, Wizards of the Coast, when are you going to rebalance Rusco? Because you've already had a chance and you didn't take it. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Brawl Stars. As always, if you'd like to watch me record these live, you should come over to my channel, twitch.tv/Amazonian, where I make lots and lots of Brawl content. And if you want to see behind the scenes how many Ruscos I faced today, the answer was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 Ruscos while trying to record this episode. Well, I'm sure that we all had fun pressing escape and then concede against them, and you got to enjoy not seeing that. Thank you so much for watching, though. I hope that you like this deck and this video. If you have a request for a Brawl Star commander, maybe one I've already played that you just want to see spiced up with new cards, or maybe one coming out in the next set next week, let me know. For Exia All Will Be one is coming out soon, and there will be an early access event on, I believe it is Thursday. Yes, just double checking. It's Thursday the 3rd. No, Thursday the 2nd. Yes, February 2nd. I know what dates are in Arena. I will be playing in that live on my channel, so if you want to see the cards ahead of time, especially being played in Draft, maybe some janky decks too, come on by. We're going to be having a lot of fun. Have a good one.